Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to the Raising Independent Thinkers Show. I'm your host, Bathsheba, and I hope you all are doing well out there and feeling blessed. My family and I have been doing well. This week we're doing some future planning, which is always exciting. Please like and subscribe to our channel. We have several shows throughout the week. And Akeem and I are looking forward to some upcoming and exciting things for Hindsight Radio. So please stay tuned and continue supporting our live shows. Okay, so during the past few weeks, I talked about understanding different learning styles, and I went over 5 different ways of learning. So if you missed that show, please search for it on the channel. There's 2 parts to it, and I talk about how it's important for us to understand the best learning style for our children, and how that understanding can make learning so much easier and effective. So talking about it, it kind of made me think of my own learning style, which I am mostly a visual learner. I like to write everything down in order for me to attain information. And I remember as a teenager, I would even write down like the lyrics to my favorite songs so that I could remember it. I'm not sure if any of you have done that, but so understanding your learning style is also important, especially if you are a homeschooling parent and teaching your child at home. So once you have identified your child's learning style, then you want to find the right curriculum. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today, finding the right curriculum for your child. Okay, so whether you are a parent who is thinking about homeschooling, or you have a child that's starting school outside of the home for the first time, you want to do your research and you want to educate yourself on the different types of curricula that's out there, because there are quite a lot. And what's great about homeschooling is that you can take bits and pieces of different curricula and make it your own. I know that if we decide to have another child, this is something that I will do. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you all. And just bear with me. Go ahead and share my screen. Let me just get to it. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, there you go. All right. So let's see how this is looking. Okay. So I'm not really sure if what you all are seeing. So hold on 1 minute. Let me just see something. Okay. Okay, let me go ahead and share a window screen. Okay, there we go. All right, so hopefully you all are seeing this screen. It says finding the right curriculum. And the first curriculum that I like to share is called the Montessori Method. And I'm sure some of you have heard of it. I have talked about it in my past shows. And I am a Montessori educator for the past 20 years. Both of my children have benefited from the philosophy in so many ways. So I'm a little bit partial to it, but this is the first curriculum that I'll be talking about. Okay. All right. Okay. So Dr. Maria Montessori, she was an Italian physician and educator who created this method back in 1906. Now, she was also a scientist and really just ahead of her time. So, the Montessori method of education is based on the scientific observation, self-directed activity, hands-on learning. Montessori's approach is child focused, meaning it focuses on the developing the whole child socially, emotionally, physically, and cognitively. Okay. So this curriculum is great for all types of learners, especially if your child is a visual or kinesthetic learner. I talked about those types of learners in my past video. So if you have a child that is constantly on the move, which most children are, the environment is created so that your child is learning through movement. So, they're not sitting at desks for hours. They are moving around to different areas of the environment that the adult designs. Also, if you have a child that is independent and creative, this could also be a great choice for them. So, the materials and lessons are based on the child's interest. So, in the first picture, you see a young boy working on some colored tablets. And this is one of Montessori's materials that she created. He's learning his primary and his secondary colors. And in the next picture, you see a young girl working on the squaring bead chain, which is another one of Montessori's materials. It's a math material, and she's learning how to prepare for multiplication. So, in this type of setting, child will learn to work independently and work with other children, often with specific design learning materials. And the learning is student led, but it's guided by an adult. So, some people get confused about that. Like, how can the students lead their learning? So, the adults will give lessons, and then the child has the opportunity to then choose to work in several different areas in the room. So the adults will give a lesson, say maybe one or two lessons a day. And then after giving that lesson, then the child will be able to choose what works they would like to do. Okay. Within a school community, it's usually a multi age groupings to create opportunities for children to learn from one another. So, if you have children that are different ages in your home, you can easily apply this curriculum into your homeschool and it will benefit each child. Okay. Okay. So, these are just two examples of some Montessori homeschool designs. I do offer to consult with families on home designs on my website, which is posted on the screen. So if you are interested in using the Montessori curriculum and you need help setting up your environment, please contact me. So in both of these pictures, you see that they're both in the home. They both have child-sized furniture, which a lot of it is wood. Depending on the interest of the child, you want to design different areas. So you might have a math area, a language area. Maybe I see some geography here in this first picture. Maybe a geography area, maybe a music area. Your child might be into music. You might want to have a science area. Um, a cultural area. You might want to uh, put out different cultural things, maybe every month, sharing a different culture. So, and also, if you notice, the materials are all, these books are put out on the shelf, but the other materials are mostly in baskets or trays. So they're all individualized where the child can go over to the shelf, choose their work, and then put it away when they're finished. Everything has a place. Okay. Okay. So these are some pros and cons, because we have pros and cons for everything. So let's start with the pros. So the first one says learning is at the individual child's pace. So this is great for your child to be able to take their time exploring a topic rather than going on to the next lesson when they've not like completed the understanding of a topic. So they can really learn at their own rate with this Montessori philosophy, and they are able to choose what interests them. So that's one of the pros. Another pro is learning through real world activity. So, one of the areas in the classroom is called practical life. And this is where they are learning how to care for their environment, learning how to care for themselves, others, through real work. So, learning how to prepare meals, maybe learning how to do laundry, how to sweep and set the table. You might have a shelf that has all of the stuff that they need for setting the table, and they can go to that shelf and do that. You might have an area where they know exactly where the broom and the mop and dustpan and all those things, the cleaning things are. For older children, a practical life activity may be doing gardening work, or cutting the grass, planning meals, and helping with shopping. So learning through real world activity is one of the pros. Um, Another pro, it says materials and lessons are designed to fulfill the child's developmental need rather than one lesson fits all approach, which is what we normally see in traditional education, where everyone is learning the same lesson. And then once that lesson is over, they move on to the next. So in a Montessori setting, they are learning again at their own pace, and they're learning based on the child's interest. Okay, and there's other pros to Montessori education, but I just decided to list three of those. Okay. Okay, so the cons, the number one con that I hear most people mentioning is that most Montessori schools are very expensive, which is unfortunate, but in some cases that's true. Because, and it's unfortunate because Maria Montessori herself, when she started her first school, it was actually in an underprivileged area in Rome. And the families there were not charged anything. And today, Montessori schools prices, they vary depending on the demographics and the location. Um, Also, it varies about how big the school is, if it's a public, private, or charter schools. But most private schools can be extremely expensive. You can, however, find some public or charter schools in certain cities to be free, but a lot of those schools go by a lottery, and it's just by a lottery. So you don't know if you'll get in. Um, so it's good to do your research. I personally feel that it depends on the teachers and the school community that makes a good school. If you are homeschooling, of course, you have to think about the cost of the materials and, of course, home expenses, but you're not worrying about tuition cost. Okay, which is a good thing. So, another con, again, I just mentioned that materials can be costly, but they don't have to be. And I also consult families in creating their own materials and also finding the least expensive route for purchasing materials because um, there are places that you can purchase Montessori materials that are not as expensive. Okay. And the last con it's that I put down here, it says it can be difficult to adapt to another type of school environment. And I also hear parents talk about this as well. And I find that this can be true, but it's depending on your child. So for in my experience, my daughter did attend a Montessori school from toddler age to grade 7. And when she got to grade 8, she went to a traditional public school. Now, there were times that she got anxiety from the amount of testing that was given and also the pressure um, to to get high grades. Whereas in a Montessori setting, there is no pressure on grading because everyone works at their own pace, right? My and she never received letter grades, but instead they received a progress report, which just kind of gave like a narrative on how they were doing in each area and what they needed to work on. Now, for homeschooling, if you decide to use this curriculum for the upper grades, middle school and high school, you do have a choice whether or not to choose state testing for your child because those testing scores are required for some states when homeschooling. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and come back to you all. All right. Hopefully you were able to see that presentation. I'm hoping. So I hope you enjoyed the information. I will be back next week talking about more educational curricula. Um, and next week I'll be talking about the classical education method. Okay. So I hope you all enjoy your week. And yeah, take care. Stay blessed, everyone.